Hey Hexers, Function here with another video. In my Beyond the Basics video, I start off by discussing one of the core aspects of the game for the folks out there that are new to Hex or to trading card games in general. After that, I'll go more in depth so that the old-timers can get something out of it as well. This time around, however, I will be going over the fundamentals of drafting. Because this is such a massive topic, I will be splitting it up into two videos. Let's start off simple and answer the question of, what is drafting? A typical draft pod consists of 8 players. Each player starts with 3 packs of 15 cards. You open your first pack of cards and pick one card from the pack, after which you pass the remaining cards to the player on your left, and the player to your right passes theirs to you. At this point, there are 14 cards remaining in the pack. This process of taking a card and passing the rest continues until each player has taken 15 cards and none remain. Now you open up your second pack and pick a card, but this time you pass the rest to your right, counterclockwise. Once again, you repeat this process until no cards remain. Finally, we repeat the same process with the third unopened pack of cards, this time passing to the left. The directions are left for pack 1, right for pack 2, left for pack 3. By this time, each player has 45 cards, which they have drafted, and now they can begin building a 40-card deck using those cards and any number of basic resources. With all that out of the way, the next question is, why draft? First and foremost, I should tell you that drafting is incredibly fun. If you have never tried it, you really should give it a chance. You might lose every game you play of your very first draft, but one of the perks is that you get to keep all the cards that you pick prior to deck building. This is the second reason I suggest you try drafting. It's a great way for new players to get started building their card pool. For a very marginal entry fee, you have the chance to pick and choose cards which might be missing from your collection. Additionally, it is a great way to learn the basics of the game. Since drafting involves playing with many cards which would not normally be constructed viable, you get to see many interactions which might not normally crop up. The list of why I really think you should try out drafting could go on and on for pages, but I'd like to add that there's no reason to be reluctant. You might think that you have no chance of winning if you're new, but you'd be surprised at how realistic the chances of winning prizes really are. Speaking of prizes, that brings us to our next topic, the structures of drafting. Typically, there is a $1 entry fee, and you're required to provide the 3 packs of cards which you put into the draft pool. Most drafts reward a total of 12 packs, divided out based on the structure of the draft. The different types are as follows. Swiss. Following deck building, you play out a series of 3 rounds, each of which are best of 3 games. Swiss awards 1 pack per round win. If you win all 3 rounds, you wind up getting 3 packs, whereas if you lose each round, you get none. The nice part here is that you will only pair it against people with similar records. If you lost round 1, in round 2 you will face someone else who has lost as well. Because of this, there is only one person who does not win any packs at all. Your chances of getting at least one is fairly good. Casual. Following deck building, once again there are 3 rounds, each consisting of 3 games. However, this time, if you lose a round, you are eliminated entirely. In casual, prizes go to all players who at least win 1 round, while the players who make it to the final round are rewarded more heavily. Typical prize payout here is 5-3-2-2, meaning that the overall winner gets 5 packs. Meanwhile, it trickles down from there, with the players who were eliminated in round 2 only getting 2 packs each. The third type is competitive. Finally, this way is structured very similarly to casual, and that is a single elimination. However, this time around, only the 2 players who make it to the finals are awarded prizes. Typically, the first place player gets 8 packs of cards, and the second place gets 4. Obviously, the prizes are more top-heavy and competitive, so if you're very confident in your skills, that is the best place for you to dominate. Alright, so with all of that established, let's talk about a few simple tips which will help you get you started in successfully drafting. Your final deck will consist of at least 40 cards. Keep it as close to 40 cards as possible. The fewer you have, the more likely you are to draw the ones that you want. You should do your best to never go over having 40 cards in your deck. In a 40-card deck, on average you will have 17 land depending on your curve. Keep this in mind while drafting, that you are trying to find roughly 23 playable cards. Unless building around a specific card interaction or combo, you should aim to have somewhere around 14 to 16 troops, give or take a few. Aggro decks want a higher saturation of aggressively costed ones, whereas slower control decks need to get more value out of each individual troop and oftentimes run fewer than 14. Do your best to stick with one specific threshold color for your early picks. By doing so, you will increase the chance of getting cards which consistently fit for you down the line. It also lets you stay flexible so that you can move in on a second color when the time is right. With all of that said, I'll introduce you to a very commonly used acronym which will be helpful as you're getting started accommodating yourself to drafting. B.R.E.A.D is not a concrete rule to live by, but it serves as a great framework to drafting a sandwich. B.R.E.A.D stands for bombs, removal, evasion, and then some people say aggression or appropriate. A can be a lot of things, and I say D is dead. Some people use other words for D, but it's pretty much the same thing. Anyhow, so B is for bombs. Bombs are cards that can potentially win you the game on their own. Big threats that need to be dealt with or powerful effects that can turn the game on its head. Jadim is a perfect example of a bomb. It's a dragon that comes down on turn 6, and if it's not dealt with, it'll end the game extremely fast. Removal is used to answer an opponent's threats. Keep yourself from getting overwhelmed, or even to punch a hole through the enemy defenses so that you can go in for the kill. Murder is a great example of removal. It destroys target troop, and it will get the job done. Next up is evasion. Evasion references troops that are either hard to deal with or hard to block. They can easily, or hard to block. They can easily get in for quite a bit of damage over the course of the game. Thunderbird is a great example because it has flight. It means it'll be able to get in for the attack more often. Aggressive troops, which are on curve or appropriate spells which help you further your plan, will fill in the cracks of your decks. Ruby Pyromancer is a pretty decent example of this, in that it's got 2 attack for 2 cost. Finally, we get to dead cards. Dead cards just don't belong in your deck. You'll wind up with some towards the end of each pack, but do yourself a favor and keep them out of your final deck. Soothing Breeze is a good example in that it only gains you 7 health. This doesn't impact the board at all, and it usually isn't going to help you in getting closer to winning the game. Another addition is Dwarven Turbine. Dwarven Turbine's a dead card if you don't have any other artifacts in your deck. Being able to ready another artifact could be an interesting effect, but if you have no artifacts with which to ready, you're really in a tight situation. Alright, so that concludes the first half of my draft series. Now that we have some of the basics under our belt, I will be able to talk about some of the trickier aspects of drafting, including signaling, wheeling, and knowing when to move in on a second color, as well as the pitfalls of hate drafting and rare drafting. Additionally, I'll try to go over a couple different Pack 1 scenarios, given the very limited spoiler card pool which we have available so far. I hope you have found this video informative, and if it's got you even half excited about drafting as I am, then my mission is accomplished. If you like this video and you want to see more quality Hex content, then please subscribe. As always, feel free to comment with any thoughts or sage wisdom you'd like to share. Less fail, more function.